So we'll follow back up on that because it's important that we get an understanding of what transpired with that particular funding. In respect to the COVID funds, have you received any of the COVID funds? Any of that came to the Department of Agriculture?
2 minutes.
Not directly as yet. There is some conversation with Government House, and they're setting some money aside to give a direct stimulus to the farmers.
Well, Commissioner, don't sit and wait. Make your demand. You have a loud voice and a convincing voice, so please understand the importance of your department and make sure that you're knocking on the doors to receive your COVID funds so that you could get it to where you need it. What about the insurance proceeds? Have you gotten any funding from the Department of Property and Procurement in regards to insurance proceeds post the storms?
No, we have not.
Are you in line to receive any of the proceeds?
We're supposed to.
Commissioner, you gotta be aggressive on these things. I mean, they ain't gonna fall in your lap. You gotta make you have to make noise in order to make sure that you're getting your fair share. In respect to and I saw in correspondence here that the contract for the St. Croix Animal Shelter as well as the Humane Society is still under negotiation. Where are we with that?
There were some scope of work that they had revised. Commissioner Khan, with any more specifics on that?
As of yesterday, we did speak with the St. Croix Animal Services for their quote. We've been in talks with St. John and St. Thomas, and we received their invoices for services for the past, going a year and a half, and we are processing those. It was only yesterday that we got a response from the St. Croix agency after repeated discussions. The quote they provided, though, was above and beyond what we have budgeted, so we have to negotiate with them and work it out. But that's something we've been working on. This contract is important to us. The problem is that we keep working behind the ball, as opposed to getting to the point where we can have a contract moving forward. And that's what we're trying to do, get them current so we can do a contract and keep them accountable, hold them accountable for the scope of work within the contract, something we haven't been able to do for quite some time.
Very well, thank you. Mr. Chair, if I could just wrap up with one additional question.
You may proceed. Go ahead.
Commissioner, in regards to your revenues, can you speak to the mechanism by which you receive revenues coming into the Department of Agriculture? Do you have an ATM? Do you take checks? How do you receive your revenues?
Ms. Charles, I'll let Ms. Charles respond to that. I'll get up to the front.
We accept ATH, we accept credit cards, cash, money order, checks.
And once those funding is received, what happens next? Can you just walk us through the process by which those revenues come in, and how do you then report those or record them going to the Department of Finance?
We deposit it in the different accounts. We have First Bank and Banco Popular. All the revolving funds.
Very well. And is there an audit mechanism by which you're ensuring that the money is received, is what goes into the government coffers? What is a check and balance that you have within your department to make sure that you're depositing exactly what's coming into the department?
So the cashier collects and somebody else make the deposit.
All our collections are made through the ERP system.
Very well. Again, I won't be abusing my time, but I'm very concerned in these tight days of COVID and everything else that's going on, that we want to make sure that our revenues are really getting into the government coffers so they could be reissued back out to support our general funding to the payroll, as well as to make sure that we're paying, providing funding to the agencies. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for the time. I won't abuse it.
Thank you.
Point of inquiry.
Thank you so much, and I will come to both point of inquiries in 1 minute. Commissioner, I'm looking again at your agriculture master land listing for lease and permit. What does Fresh Ministries Inc. have, a lease or a permit?
Say it again.
Fresh Ministries Inc. We have under contract, we have permit for all of them except that one entity. Do they have a permit or a lease?
I'm sorry, the mic was screeching while you were saying which entity has a lease or permit?
Fresh Ministries Incorporated. Do they have
Fresh Ministries doesn't have anything then they're not on the books at this time.
Fresh Ministries, they're not on the book at this time?
In other words, they are utilizing a farmer's property, as I understand it, which is Bethlehem's property.
They're utilizing. One minute.
Would have that lease.
1 minute. I'm going to say 1 minute, Senator. They're utilizing Vicor Plan Plat 10D, which is 39.9089 acres, and it's under their name. There's no lease amount. There's no costs, and there's also no information as to whether it's a lease or permit.
Well, let Ms. Charles respond to that.
Sorry. Senator, the list is in working process. For some reason, I believe in the past, they were working on a lease for the entity, but I don't think it ever went through.
The lease never came through the legislature of the Virgin Islands. So how was the land granted to that entity? It doesn't even say permit or says amount. I'm just saying, you know, I just keep on seeing stuff. And I'm just saying that we need to just do...
They do not have a lease.
And we need to do stuff the right way. We just had a groundbreaking ceremony for Fresh Ministries, which is bringing an important product to the Virgin Islands, very important. But they have not gone through this body to acquire a lease, and there's also not a permit, and there's no amount. So I'm just saying, let's just make it right.
Yeah, but Mr. Chair, respectfully, the whole of that piece of property right now is not Fresh Farm. It's another individual.
So why do you have their name?
As I understand.
Why do you have their?
That effort is a collaborative between the two, that farmer and Fresh Ministries. So
who is
that
a
lease
who is a farmer?
The farmer's name.
Who is a farmer?
I'm not. Is it appropriate to say the name?
It got to be appropriate. We have all the names listed for farmers in the Virgin Islands who have a lease.
Mr. Edwards.
Chair, if you look down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines, there is a listing on the VI Corp's land for 10D again to Angel and Helen Gonzalez.
Angel.
Senator Degazan and then Senator Benter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So what I'm about to say was not what I said the point of inquiry for, but I believe it is with the Farmers in Action is who they are working with, and I believe if necessary, the details could probably come out, but being as they were part of going through EDA, I think it was found out that they could not go through and get a lease with the government. They had to be working in conjunction with another farmer or something to that situation. But I'm sure once information is requested, it can be offered or turned in. So my point of inquiry was in reference to adding line items to the budget for agriculture. 2 areas that we know for sure touches the farmers, gives actual help, and we can quantify that help is through the food production team and the marketing. Those 2 entities basically tell whether or not or how good the Department of Agriculture is doing. because those two entities under the Department of Agriculture actually deal with the farmers and resources day in and day out. And I think it's important that we add line items for marketing and for food production so that we don't have to ask a lot of questions about what's going on with the services, what's going on with land prep, what equipment was bought, what's going on, because there will be line items there to be able to tell how much money did farmers get from selling produce back to agriculture, how much resources did the farmers get to protect from deer, etc., by getting fencing. And right now, when you look at the budget, you can't tell. It's hard to quantify that amount. So I would like to find out from the commissioner if he would be against that, because that is something I would be proposing to the finance chair and committee going forward.
Currently, our entire budget is all to salary and fringes. Our upcoming budget, supplies have been cut out of it, utilities have been cut out of it. I'm not opposed to any specific line item, except that sometimes, even as it is now, when requesting money from OMB, we have to request certain things be shifted from supplies to operation as far as the categories there internally. So I'd have to see what line item you're suggesting, because it's really we paying salaries, we buying fuel and operation, and that's pretty much it. The department has, we use money from the tourism revolving fund. Anything, what I met there in the tourism revolving fund, it had 1.5, I think, $1 million there. But what they also had was a lot of outstanding payments that the department could not afford to pay with its regular operating budget. So what we've been doing is paying down old bills, and there are still more, and it's really starting to eat out at the, that safeguard of having that tourism revolving fund is what we rely on to do any spending outside of salaries and fringes. We have to rely heavily on the tourism revolving fund and what we generate from the agriculture revolving fund.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. And Commissioner, just update your master land listing and don't put the same property down to two different entities. We should only have entities there that have permit to lease with the government of the Virgin Islands. Senator Benta, you recognize.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioner, I know that in the past we had a discussion concerning employees and increases, but you were asking of them to submit the resumes. How are we coming with that?
The resumes had nothing to do with increases. The resumes had something to do with us seeing what type of skill set we have on board, so what type of adjustment we wanted to make to whom. The idea that people will be reluctant and opposed to submitting resumes says a lot. That had nothing to do with penalizing people. It was actually to try to promote people, but you had to know their skill set, you had to know their background. Some people did not submit theirs. Some people we have scheduled to be put into other positions. People who with some longevity, who's really been overlooked, because I believe it's a cross-reference of education and experience, which individuals should be rewarded with.
And then to the farmers who need assistance, I don't know if you have an entity that will assist them in writing grants. If they do need the assistance in doing that, are you ready, available, or anyone within your? No,
we're not available to do that. There's assistance to USDA offices. A big hindrance to farmers getting access to grants is what Commissioner Collingwood stated earlier. You have to have proper documentation. There's a responsibility on the farmer. You want the federal people money, they want you to have certain documentation, what your yields are like, what type of practices, what conservation practices you utilize, etc. Sometimes there's a contract that they make with these entities, and they have to fulfill certain mandates by a certain time period when you have these contracts with these entities, and they reimburse you, but you have to be able to document.
Thank you for your answers. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I think Ms. Collingwood wanted to share something.
I want to briefly, Ms. Collingwood here, I wanted to briefly add that the farmers are in dire need of some type of business service center, somewhere they can go to have access to the internet, to get support in applying for grants, to get guidance and ensuring that they're documenting the right type of activities, to access the internet, to send emails, to check to see what grants are available, to make photocopies, to document what they need to document to qualify for these type of fundings. And this is something I feel, and farmers do need that support. Many of them would come to me and I'll provide assistance in how to apply for grants, but they really need that face-to-face, one-on-one attention, and some type of office situation where they can go in, sit down, and get some support. And an area that's very highly staffed and has all the technological support services needed.
So that means that you're open to assist them, correct? That means the department is open to assisting them in that endeavor, based on what I'm hearing, because you've been providing it already. If I'm not right, then let me know if I'm not on the right path. Is the Department of Agriculture already available to assist the farmers in educating them and guiding them as far as how to go through the process?
If
The truth is that with every farmer we come in touch with, we have these discussions. So on a personal and a general level, we communicate with farmers and give them the guidance. But the truth is that we don't have the capacity to provide the caliber of support they need on a consistent level. I mean, I have conversations with them. I have discussions. As a matter of fact, we had that plow to plate grant. We had a few farmers who got awarded. One farmer got a refrigerated truck, for example. But we noticed that the same farmers who are doing the correct things, the small group of farmers who have the correct documentation, they are the ones who keep receiving, and they go to the trainings as well. They are the ones who keep getting the funding, but we have to allow for all the farmers to qualify. And that's why we need these type of services so they can get the assistance. There are some farmers who tend to have more access to resources because of their knowledge, their technical skill set, but everybody needs to increase their knowledge.
But in fairness to those farmers, I don't want to put up on them. They take responsibilities of going to the training. There's some who refuse to go to any training, and we can't sit here and make it seem like everybody going to stay at home and get the same capacity built if they're not doing anything to grow themselves. It's important that they access the help provided to them.
Do you have someone who does the outreach and go on sit with them one-on-one from your agency, someone who will go to them? Because we know exactly what the issue is, but is there someone who will go to them on a one-on-one and spend the time with them to bring them up to speed? Because we know what some of the issue is, and of course we're not going to go on the floor and talk about it exponentially, but to produce is astronomical. So is there someone that you can designate that can go around and really work with the farmers individually to get them where we need to get them to have the assistance or get the assistance that's readily available, and only because of that shortcoming, they don't know the way or have a way of doing it without guidance.
Senator,
But they produce
that's
phenomenal
practical.
fruits.
That's